folks, welcome back to My Can Reads. I'm Eleanor and this is my December wrap-up video. So, hey, it's already 2021, but this is my December 2020 wrap-up video. I read 11 things in December, which I'm quite pleased with. And I think I made some progress on some of the goals I still had for the year as well. So I read a lot of books with queer characters on purpose. I also continued my Gail Carragher Parasolverse project, which also happens, the end of that happens to have quite a few books with queer characters. But yes, so this is my reading wrap up for December. The next video I will probably do is my goal wrap up for the year, and then my December Outcrate. But we'll see how I go. Yeah, so I didn't get any videos uploaded for the last couple of weeks of December. I apologise, but I was completely disorganised before I went to Tasmania, and I don't really have a proper setup when I'm in Tasmania. So, yeah, but you know, that usually happens. So, but I'm back in Canberra, and yeah, this is what I read in December. I just started the month with another new Pride and Prejudice variation, a sequel to another new one that I'd read earlier in the year called Unconventional Ladies by Sydney Salier. This is the sequel to Unconventional Education, in which a wealthy widowed neighbour of the Bennets decides that she's going to adopt the middle three neglected Bennet daughters and give them an unconventional education in basically they can learn whatever they want, whether it's ladylike or not, as long as they also learn the ladylike stuff as well. Including self-defense and Lizzie Quite's takes to like fencing and shooting and all that kind of stuff, and you know, the usual drama and shenanigans ensue. This is the sequel to that, and you know, it was enjoyable. So that's how I started the month. Then I finally finished Romancing the Inventor by Gail Carragher. This was a novella that was a reread as part of my Parasolverse project. I did get stuck in this one again, like I did the first time I read it, although not for as long. I think there's something about the setting of this particular one that I find very awkward and uncomfortable. So this is a lesbian romance between a character we've met before, which is Genevieve Lefou, the inventor, who is at this point in this timeline indentured to the hive of vampires as a punishment for something that happened in a previous book. And this is mostly from the point of view of a young country girl who's very, very beautiful, but has never wanted anything to do with men, and kind of finds women attractive sometimes, and doesn't know how to deal with it. So she applies to work as a maid in the hive house, hoping that amongst other perversions she will find acceptance. But it's a very hostile environment. Not only is she a maid, but she is very she ends up in a hostile situation with one of the footmen, which is very uncomfortable. The vampires are always a looming presence because they're antagonists through most of the Parasolverse, this particular hive, so we don't really get along with them very well. And then, of course, she gets Lefou's attention because she's actually, despite not having no education, instinctively good at mathematics. She's got a mathematical brain. And so Lefou wants her to help with her inventions, which brings attention to her. At the same time, Lefou is trying to not be romantically involved because of her previous romantic issues. Once you get past certain humps, it goes quite quickly, but I do find this one a little bit uncomfortable because of the hostile situation that it is set up as. Basically, I think. Yes, so that was that. Then I read all 3 volumes of Tapestry of Lives by Jean Sims, which is one of my standard favourite Pride and Prejudice variations that I reread regularly. This is the one where it's 3 separate novels, but set up as 3 volumes of the same novel. Basically starts at the point where Lizzie begs her father not to let Lydia go to Brighton, and Mr. Bennet actually has a slight change of heart when he suddenly realises how old Lydia is. And then he reads, accidentally stumbles across Lizzie while she's rereading Darcy's letter. Lizzie shares the letter with her father and everything goes from there. Everything changes from there. And so it goes on towards the end of the romance, but then also further on into the first few years of life with Lizzie and Darcy's marriage and, you know, dealing with society and all that kind of stuff. So that's that. Then I went back to my Gail Carragher while I was in Tasmania, and I reread Prudence and Imprudence. So these are the first two books of the Custard Protocol series, which is the sequel novel series about Prudence, who is Alexia and Connell's daughter, as well as being Lord Akeldama's adopted daughter. And so it's her shenanigans with the crew of the Custard, Spotted Custard, which is her ladybird painted dirigible. So the first book, Prudence, she is sent on a mission to negotiate for some sort of new tea, and gets caught up in India in all sorts of shenanigans, which have an effect of her losing all of her diplomatic and basically all of her protections that she's had, because in Prudence, she's come of age, she's no longer being protected by the crown because she's stuffed up, and she's no longer being protected by the vampires because she's of age. She doesn't understand what this means. Her father is going mad with the werewolf curse, which means she no longer has the protection of the pack, because her parents are going to move to Egypt. And yeah, she ends up in all sorts of bother as well as romantic shenanigans. So the thing with these books is that there is at least one lesbian character, possibly two. The first book I'm probably not going to count as having a major character, because the character who is basically a lesbian she's a minor character in this. She pops in and out, but she's not part of the crew yet. By this book, she's part of the crew. And there are some specific conversations regarding her interest in another member of the crew. So this one will probably count as having a major queer character. This one, possibly not. But yeah, so these were both rereads. I have not yet read the next two books in the series. So those are going to be coming up soon. But I enjoyed rereading these. Because, you know, negotiating tea with weremonkeys. That's what everybody needs to do. So following that, I reread Romancing the Werewolf, which is again part of the Parasolverse. It's another one of the novellas. And this is a male-male romance based around, basically following on from a romance that started back in the Alexia Tarabotti books, the original books. So this is set just after Imprudence. Back in London, Biffy's taken over the werewolf pack. They're trying to settle in. Biffy's still kind of nervous and kind of unsure of himself, but trying not to show it. Lyle comes back from India to be the beta, and they're not sure whether they should be in a relationship or whether the other one wants to be in a relationship again, because it's been 20 years since they've seen each other. And there are babies turning up on the doorstep of the pack house randomly, and they can't figure out why for a while. And it's Christmas. So that was a really lovely reread. I love this story. I zipped through it. Romancing the Werewolf is one of my favourite Carragher novellas. So yeah, I really love those two characters, Biffy and Lyle, and love seeing them come back together with, you know, occasional interjections by Major Channing of the Chesterfield Channings, of course. So following that, I went away from Gail Carriger and I read Rogue Protocol by Martha Wells. This is the third of the Murderbot diaries. I tend to count these as queer because Murderbot doesn't use gendered pronouns. I mean, Murderbot is an AI, a kind of half robot with security droid with cloned flesh parts. But I probably don't love the Murderbot series as much as other people that I know, but I do still really enjoy it, and it's a really nice kind of action-filled adventure with a security droid who just wants to be left alone to watch their shows and read their books, which I can totally identify with. So that's Rogue Protocol, the third of the Murderbot Diaries. Then I picked up Holiday Brew by Tansy Rayner Roberts. This is the second Belladonna U collection. I had previously read the first story, which was the Halloween story. But the second story and the Solstice one, and then the final, what's it called? Kissing Basilisk, which is the final novella so far in this series of short fiction, I hadn't read before. So they were all new to me. And Kissing Basilisk was actually quite serious. Compared to like the rest of these books, which have been madcap adventures with our favourite geek rock band at a Tasmanian university. So, yeah. But I loved it as always. And also, again, counts as having a queer main character because Juniper and Holly are both queer in various ways, at least. And Sage as well. And, yeah, the other one, whose name I can never remember. Not Viola, Jules Nightshade, that's it. So there's a lot of queer characters in the Belladonna U verse, and so I really enjoyed getting back into them and catching up on what I'd missed. I'm always going to hope for more Belladonna U stories. I do love this universe so much. It's Tasmania, it's magic, it's geek rock. And then I finished off my year with The Lamberjanes, Volume 8, Stone Cold, by Shannon Waters and Kat Leyh. This, again, is one of my usual queer go-tos because there's a couple of characters in here who are dating. It's all about girls and friendship and supernatural shenanigans in the woods. This one links back into Greek mythology. Where, yeah, they meet an old enemy who's here trying to make amends, and there are people being turned to stone. Oh dear. Yeah, so gotta love me some Lamberjanes, and that's how I finished my year. So that was what I read in December. I'll be back really soon, probably. I'm probably going to film a couple more videos this week because I've got the week off, but they'll be spaced out, posted at yearly intervals. Not yearly intervals, what am I talking about? Weekly intervals, pretty much. So, like I said, there will be my reading goals, overview and setting of new goals, which I need to think about a bit, and there will be a December Crate unboxing, and then we'll see where we go from there. So, yeah, we'll see how far that gets me through January. Yeah, that's all it is. So, yeah, let me know down in the comments if you've read any of those books, liked any of those books, want to know any more about those books. Always happy to chat books with you. And I'll see you all again really soon. Bye!